What's going on, everybody? It's your pal Burrito Johnson, just coming at you with a quick video. This is a video I wasn't expecting to make. I didn't want to make, but with everything going on and my own experience playing it, and everything that's going on the internet, I just had to throw in my 2 cents. I know there's a billion videos out there, but I need to throw in just what I feel because this is something that I've been anticipating for years and years and was excited to get it. Went out, got it day one, and was just blown away by the final product that we got. It wasn't what we were promised. So here's my story of Cyberpunk 2077. I'm a massive fan of The Witcher 3. CD Projekt Red. I played. I'll be honest, I didn't finish Witcher 1 or 2. Played a lot of it, but The Witcher 3 is the one that sunk its teeth into me. It didn't let me go. That's all I did. I went to work, played before work, played after work, played on my days off, nonstop. I threw hundreds of hours into The Witcher 3 with DLCs and everything. And I just was blown away by the caliber of writing and everything that just a side quest. You know, some of these games, side quests are just kind of throwaways. You do them really quick and then you move on to the main story. I don't think I've ever played a game where a little side quest will turn into a bigger side quest that leads into another side quest that would sometimes take me almost an hour to complete. I never played a game that took me on these massive adventures across all these continents or this huge world, this open world map. And when I finished The Witcher 3, I held CD Projekt Red to high regard, up there. It's an independent developer, right, or something like that. It's its own company. It doesn't have. I mean, I'm sure it's a big company now with the success of The Witcher 3, Gwent, all the stuff that they've been releasing. They announced Cyberpunk 2077 2 years before The Witcher 3 came out. So everybody was pretty excited. I was excited. I was like, these guys can't do wrong. I can't wait. They're going to release it. When they release it, hell yeah, it's going to be just as good as Witcher, if not better. Huge open world, all these possibilities to tackle something like this. So they finally announced a release date, and then that kept getting pushed back. And then they even brought Keanu Reeves out, and that got, so we got revealed that Keanu Reeves was in the game. That was a surprise to everybody. But it just even hyped us up for the game even more. I was excited. I'm like, this game is going to be badass. And then then I think it got delayed again, right, for the last time before eventually being pushed for officially December 10th, 2 days before my birthday. I'm one of the suckers who took time off before his birthday. I took about a week off from work. Because it's my birthday, I was going to do it anyways. But hell, it falls right. The day I started my vacation is when the Cyberpunk 2077 comes out. So what I did is I traded in a few games that I just was sitting there. They were giving 25% bonus towards it. So I didn't have to pay anything out of pocket. I picked up the Xbox One version to play on my Xbox One X. I wasn't the lucky one just yet that got one of these suckers or one of the next gen consoles. Now, I had been warned through video, through like Twitter and stuff like that this game, like, curve your expectations. Apparently, this game does not run that well on the base consoles. It runs okay on the mid-generation consoles, and it runs a little bit better on the next-gen consoles, PS5, Xbox Series X, and it runs pretty good on the PC. I was like, whatever. How could that be possible when my Xbox One X, my PS4 Pro runs Red Dead Redemption 2 perfectly, and it looks amazing, 4K, no stuttering, no anything. It runs, so these systems are still good. There shouldn't be any problem to run these games. Day one, I threw the game in, installed it, and I was just kind of like, this is bad. it looked okay. It run decently, but my God, it was not 30 frames per second. It was about 20 frames per second, sometimes even lower than that. And the graphics were bad. Not that many NPCs on the street for something that's boasting all these NPCs and this big, huge open world that's lived in hundreds of people. There was not that many people on the street, and this game kept crashing on me, loading into a whole new area. Going to a mission, loading into a whole new area of the map, froze for like a minute, and then it kind of just like, well, there we go. We'll keep chugging along. Yes, it's those mechanical drives. I will be the first to admit it. The mechanical drives are an ancient technology. This is something that's meant to, run on SSD. It's super lightning fast, so it can load everything, the stream or whatever. I got about 5 hours in on the Xbox One X version, and I had enough. There's too many bugs. A lot of this T-shaped people. The further I got in, the more it seemed to just kind of crash on itself. I was not having a good time. I was mad. I was kind of in denial a little bit, but I was looking online. Everybody was having the same issue. PC players were not having as many issues, and the difference between the PC and the console versions were night and day. Apparently. Thankfully, I don't have a base console, a base Xbox One or base PS4, because that apparently it runs shittier on that. And I mean, there you have it. So I don't know how that is. All I know is mid-generation. That's how I did it. I got mad. I called GameStop. I'm like, you need to give me my money back, or trade it in. I need to get the PC version. The guy was like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I was like, I was so mad. I know it's not the guy's fault. He's not the guy. He's just the guy who sold the game to me, whatever. He was like, I'm like, don't you check Twitter? He's like, no, I don't really get on the internet at all. I'm like, well, shouldn't you be checking internet, your internet, the Twitter and all that, just to kind of gaming news, so you could be more kind of aware of what's going on in the outside world? And he's like, no. But what saved me was that apparently, I didn't know this, but I guess you could, GameStop for like big releases like CyberPunk gives you 48 hours. You love it or hate it, bring it back, or hate it. You have 48 hours from the release date to bring it back, and they will give you $60 credit to use to do whatever you want in the store. And I did that. All I really did was swap it out for the PC version. So I literally just got the PC version, came home, installed it. And I will be the first one to tell you, not the first one, but along with the other PC, because I have a decent PC. I have an Alienware. Yeah, I'm one of those guys. I got an Alienware with a 2070 Super. I don't have the 30,000 series or whatever. I mean, that's just too much. But I have a 2070 Super, 8 gigs of RAM, whatever, on the card. I have 16 gigs. I have more than enough to run this. But I could tell you the difference between PC and the console is night and day. I get it. The consoles are older technology. PCs are always expanding and upgrading. But the difference is night and day. The amount of details that I was able to encounter was just crazy. So I played 20 hours. I'm about 20 hours into the story. And I like it, but we were promised things that aren't in the final product. There's no wanted system. Bounty system is non-existent. I will admit I haven't ran into a lot of glitches on the PC version, but they're there. If I'll be honest with you, this game has a pretty cool photo mode, and I think I've enjoyed taking photos more than I've played the game. It sucks because this is a game it was supposed to be awesome. It was going to be the next Witcher caliber. CD Projekt Red can't do no wrong. But the problem is that these guys kind of came out with an apology, like, well, we apologize for not being able to show you the last gen version or the base PS4 or whatever. They came out with a half-ass apology. and that just kind of cemented themselves in a whole other trouble. And then PlayStation Network took their game down. Like, you can't even buy the game digitally. I'm sure you could buy it. You go to the store and get it. You know, like me, I like to have it physical. But in this case, I settle for the PC version. So I was in denial. I was like, let me play it. It seems like the further I go into the story, the more bugs tend to encounter. But it's mostly the world that's kind of crashing around. I haven't had a quest where I've had to reload it. But I've seen bugs, and if anybody says that, well, I don't know, I spent 300 hours in this world and I have yet to see a problem. Yes, they have. They are straight up lying to you, or their standards in video games are pretty low. Everybody has run into bugs. PS5 players, I know a couple who can't even finish the game because it keeps crashing on them. It literally every 10 minutes, 15 minutes, even every hour, it just kind of crashes. So these guys are having to save every other minute just to make sure they don't lose any progress. That's not how a game should be. They should have been upfront with us. They started making this game for the base consoles, and then at some point during the production, it was just too massive, too big, that they should have said, hey, we're going to be upfront with you guys. This game needs to be played on the next generation or higher end PCs, where we can install an SSD. Going from loading off of mechanical on the Xbox One X version to installing it on the SSD version, it loads like that. Loading into the worlds, teleporting around instantly. This game is meant to be played on an SSD, solid state drive. But it's just sad. It's sad because they had a disastrous launch, and they're liars. They straight up came out and lied because they have to drop this game out on a specific time to make to please investors. I'm sure it's not the programmers. The programmers probably poured their heart out into this game. It's the upper management, for sure. Some time went by. People were just I can't even tell you how many times people have gotten into fights on Twitter or on social media between the fanboys and the people who've had horrible experience. You got the fanboys like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. You need to play on the PC. How can you expect this game to run on 8-year-old hardware? And you got these guys, well, they promised us this. Blah, 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 blah. So it's just been back and forth. And I've gone through some times where I'm like, I've gotten angry. Even though I'm on PC right now, it's pretty upsetting to see these guys kind of just lie. They need, and they keep releasing statements that just doesn't make any sense. Like a few days ago, one of the co-founders released a video, and it's crazy because he looked just defeated. He was just like, and I kind of felt bad, but at the same time, he made an apology, and it's a step in the right directions, but they still didn't acknowledge the fact that they lied. They said, well, when we tested it, it ran fine. When we released it onto the world, that's when people started having problems with it. That's not how it should be, man. You got testers for a reason. You can't tell me the testers didn't come up to you and be like, this game is 100% ready to go. Release it. No. They released it the way it is with the intent of them patching it later. And that's just horrible. So there's a guy named Jason Schreier. I think I'm saying that right. Internet guy. Was he Kotaku or something? He was an editor in Kotaku. I think he went over to Bloomberg now or whatever. He's mostly known for kind of nowadays breaking news. He kind of exposed the Anthem crunch that the Anthem that came out a couple of years ago, that big EA, the makers of Mass Effect or whatever. Apparently that was a disaster. He broke articles on that. He wrote crunch times on a lot of studios like Rockstar for Red Dead Redemption, The Last of Us, stuff like that. He was making articles. So he kind of is the guy who breaks, he does that breaking news on what people don't, what the developers don't want you, or the studio doesn't want you to see. And he kind of just, he gets inside scoop. Now, whether you believe him or not, that's up to you. But he typically gets people who used to work for companies to talk, or currently will be anonymous, and they'll talk about it. So he went, he wrote, he did this whole breaking news where apparently staff what the demo that they released, they had a big old demo back in 2018, was it 2019, 2018? This 45-minute demo that they showed to a lot of influencers, media outlets, and stuff like that, that apparently blew people away, and that just got them even more pumped up. Apparently, that was just a demo. That wasn't really the final product. A lot of the content from the demo was cut off, and missing from the final product. There is a lot of there. Apparently, there's a lot of content missing from the final product of this game, and I could tell. I granted I'm only 20 hours in. Apparently the story is pretty short if you kind of just beeline it. But if there is a ton of stuff to do. I will admit there's a ton of quests, a ton of side activities to do. So Jason Schreier kind of released this, kind of getting the inside scoop. If you're on Twitter, or I'm sure you could Google it, you'll find some more information. He basically just kind of gives the inside scoop of what really happened. This wasn't ready. Hey, CD Projekt Red is quoted as, "We made The Witcher. It'll work itself out." So kind of check it out. Now, one of the other co-founders kind of released a statement, kind of rebuking and kind of, I don't know. If it's on the screen, I'm not going to read it word by word, but this is his response. And again, so they need to shut. They just need to shut the heck up. He's basically just saying this is all a lie. We're getting the PC version got 9 out of 10s, 10 out of 10s. They have not acknowledged the lie that they've done. The missing apparently there's no missing content, or yes, content gets cut off during game development. But this is just them dodging questions, and I don't like it. It sucks. They need to pull a No Man's Sky on this. No Man's Sky released a game that was, raised everybody's expectations and delivered something very bare. And they basically shut up, didn't say anything for a very long time. And now kind of No Man's Sky is kind of this redeeming story, an ongoing live, service game, right? That's just being constantly updated. It's like it's like a former shadow of its own self. It's nothing like how it was when the base game was released. I threw it in on the Xbox not too long ago, and I was like, this is not the game I played 4 years ago, 2016, 2017, whenever that game came out. They need to pull that. They need to shut the hell up, because they're splitting the internet. It's divisive because people are like, we stand behind you 100%. Or there's people like, they lied. They need to shut up, and they need to just get that game fixed. Hopefully there's a redemption story somewhere in here. And yes, I've stopped playing the game. I stopped playing the game because there's apparently a patch coming in about 10 days, probably less by now. But knowing them, this is probably going to get pushed back. But there's a patch coming, and then there's another patch coming in February, and then there's a bunch of stuff coming, and the next gen upgrade. Like, if I wanted to play it on the Xbox Series X, I can't even do it until the last half of 2021. So you basically got to wait a year to play the the next gen upgrade on this one. I'm pretty sure people are going to move on by then, and you have to make that next gen upgrade pretty damn well worth it. We're not asking to remove 100% of the bugs. We're just asking to have it be playable and a decent experience. When you're asking us to dive into this massive open world, and we're going to the story mode, and there's this really emotional moment that's happening, and there's people in the background just doing this, kind of walking around like this, or the characters are glitching, or you're able to see the eyeballs of your character like I have. How are you supposed to connect with the story when all of that is happening? This game was not ready. And CD Projekt knows this, and they released it anyways, and that's why people are angry. We don't want this game to fail. We never wanted this game to fail. They should have been, hey, when we're ready to release this game, we'll release this damn game. This needed at least a few more months, maybe until March, or maybe another 6 months to kind of iron everything out, because it wasn't ready, and even the developer said it wasn't ready, and it sucks because this was supposed to be an awesome, massive, launch for these guys, another hit, and it wasn't. Even if it was a mediocre story, we would have been okay with it. If it didn't have this much stuff going on for it, and it sucks. It's sad, and I will admit I do get upset when I see people who kind of just defend these people. You need to hold these guys accountable. You can't just be like, well, people make mistakes. We stand behind you 100%. Okay, perfect. But you need to call them out on their bullshit. What they did is wrong. They need to remedy that. They need to shut the hell up and just get to work. If they really want to, deliver, a AAA game like they promised, they need to get to work, because there's a lot of work to be done. PC version is not perfect. The console versions are far from perfect. Apparently, those fanboys out there saying, I had no problem, 300 hours, zero bugs, zero but. That's bull crap. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to love this game, and for the most part, I've had fun. I can't even tell you, probably 10 out of those 20 hours that I've done has been taking photos of it. It's on the PC with a pretty good graphics card. You're going to take some beautiful photos. Ray tracing's on, and I got the ray tracing going automatically, all that stuff. It absolutely looks perfect. The console version, my first 2 days with the console version, there was a whole different story, and it legit felt like I was playing a PS3 game. And that sucks. So I'm just going to go back to, I stopped the game, and I basically just been jumping on this. This one has been providing me a lot more joy right now until there's more patches on the PC version, or another game comes along. But what the hell, CD Projekt Red? You were supposed to be that company who was different than everybody. You provided us initially on The Witcher 3. The Witcher 3, yes, it was not bug free. There was bugs. There was it did not run that great. The loading times are pretty bad. So over time, by the end of its life on The Witcher 3, it was like a whole different game. The UI was different. Everything was different. It ran pretty damn sweet on the Xbox Series, the Xbox X or Xbox One X. Oh, this freaking Xbox is so confusing. And the PS4 Pro ran it 60 frames per second, and it looked badass. By the end of by the end of all the updates and everything, that game was almost completely different than what it was. I'm not talking about content wise or anything. Just by the end of it, it was basically the most stable it was going to get. The UI was different. They tweaked it to where the quality of life was just a lot better. That's what I feel like they're going to do with the Cyberpunk 2077. I mean, let's be honest. I don't think they're going to make it look any better than what it is already on the base models, the Xbox and the PS4. But if they could just squash the bugs and fix the frame rate, I'm pretty sure people will be okay with it. I am very curious to see what they're going to do with the next gen upgrades. I may double dip. I may try it out if it's something that's drastically different, because at the end of the day, I love playing on my PC, but I'm more of a couch guy. I'm always going to be a couch controller, all that stuff, big screen TV. I'm always going to be that guy. I would rather play on this, but PC version is the best place to play this game right now. I'm curious how they're going to do it. There could be a light at the end of listen, let's just say if they quit being smartasses and not acknowledging their mistakes, and they just be like, yes, if they just shut the hell up, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Fix your shit. And you never know. They might put in new content. Apparently DLCs, I think they held off on the DLCs, or they're going to give us free DLCs. That's probably going to be pushed till next year. At one point we were going to get multiplayer. That's nowhere to be found on the roadmap. They released a roadmap online that you could see. You that you can see. Basically, we got the two DLCs, and then at some point in the second half of 2021, we're getting some more patches. We're getting the next gen upgrade, and probably DLCs. So maybe next year, at some point, we'll get a polished Cyberpunk 2077 that people could actually play, and we could all be happy. You never know. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for it, but for right now, I set my controller down, my mouse, I guess, and I'm gonna give it some time. I'm gonna give it some time. I got 1,000 other games to play that or I could finish. Almost done with Valhalla. I started Final Fantasy 15 again because it just runs so beautifully on the Series X. But all right, guys, that's been my thought. I know it's not as in depth or as I guess as professional as other YouTube people, but this is just my thought, my experience, and what I hope that we get at the end of the day. All right, guys, until next time, this is Burrito Johnson. Take it easy.